What's up, YouTube? And I have got a watch list clean out edition ready to go for you guys. Mostly mint on card and vintage Kenner items. I do have a couple of comic books I wanted to talk about, but I've got a bountiful harvest. It's that time of year. It's the fall festive kind of time where everyone's got their pumpkin harvest. Well, I've got a vintage Star Wars harvest for you. And so I wanted to kind of go through some different items that were on my watch list. And we're going to start off with Collectibles Investment Brokers. They sold a pretty interesting item here. This is a vintage Kenner action display stand, mint in box, but this is a special offer version. As you can see, it's got Greedo on there. So this must have been a later version and not an item I've ever seen before, to be honest with you, with that special offer sticker on there as well as Greedo. Pretty interesting item. This was not graded or anything, but it was complete. One of the flaps was missing on the box, if memory serves. Let's see. One of the side flaps is missing, and the one next to it is about to fall off. So it's complete. The actual stand is complete, but it's not like a gradable item. So apparently they just wanted to kind of get it off their hands. But interesting with that special offer sticker. I've never kind of seen this before, or I've never looked closely at the actual box for the action display stand. But apparently it was pretty rare because it sold for $2,800. So I think that the main factor for why that cost so much was the box. This must have been kind of a later version of the action display stand with a special offer. So just an interesting sale and not an item you see very often. There is also a very rare Empire Strikes Back packaging for the action display stand. That is very rare. There's less than 10 or 12 known examples for that one. But this one probably came out in between those two, right around the 20 or 21 back. So just kind of an interesting sale there I wanted to talk about. A couple of comic books. We've got Heir to the Empire #1 in a CGC 9.8. This is that newsstand edition that I had in my What to Buy video a week or two ago. And I was kind of curious to see where this one would close out. There was one on Comic Link last month that sold, I think, around $17.50 or so, somewhere in that ballpark. And it's been steadily kind of dropping in price now that the Ahsoka series has come and gone. What a letdown, by the way, for the last episode. I thought the last episode was kind of like, nothing was resolved, people. We want to resolve some of this stuff. Nothing was resolved. But overall, I did like the series, though. But I think now that the Ahsoka series has come and gone, we can probably expect this book to kind of creep back down and get closer to what the direct edition usually sells for. Now, Team CGC 9.8, Jerry over there, he said that maybe some of these have been graded that do not note the newsstand. I always thought that for these early Dark Horse books that the price for the newsstand was different than the direct, and I forgot to look it up before I started making this video. So I could be incorrect on that, but I'm pretty sure that I know that for like Clone Wars 1 and Heir to the Empire 1, I always thought that the price was different between the newsstand and the direct edition, and they've always been kind of noting on the label that they were newsstands, but I could be wrong on that one. But either way, this one was the newsstand, and it's properly labeled as such, and it's got the barcode in the lower left. And as I talked about, the price is coming down. This one sold in an auction for $14.13 on 12 bids. That one closed on October 8th. So it'll be interesting to see whether this kind of price holds up or whether this was a deal. To me, this seems like a deal relative to where the one that sold last month for. But maybe it continues to drop in price, as all comic books seem to be doing right now. But just a noteworthy kind of book that there's not many of these on the census, like less than 80 of them, at least, if they weren't segregated before. So I wanted to point that one out, $14.13. And then the same seller also had a newsstand for Wolverine Limited Series 1, which is on my want list. I want to get this one. And I think I said in the What to Buy video, you can expect this one to close around $1,100. This one actually closed a little higher, $1,137. So I was pretty close on my estimate there for what I thought this Wolverine Limited Series #1 newsstand would go for. This is kind of the first solo Wolverine comic, pretty epic art by Frank Miller, and it's the harder to find newsstand. The direct edition, every single month on Comic Link, there's like 10 of them for sale in a 9.8, but the newsstand's a little tougher to find, and the price reflects that. A direct edition will set you back $500 to $600, somewhere in that ballpark. Several different 12-inch figures from the 12-inch line sold here recently. The first one is, we're going to start small in terms of price and then go up from there. This was an incomplete Luke Skywalker. It looks like it's missing the grappling hook, but it's got his utility belt and his lightsaber there, as well as the box, which was kind of tatty. The window on it was damaged, but anyway, that one sold for $107.73, but again, keep in mind that that was an incomplete figure, did not have the grappling hook. Here was the C-3PO. This one obviously is complete since it really just includes the figure, and the figure was in pretty great shape overall. Another easy one to find, but this one looked to be beautiful condition. Maybe just some light wear here and there to the gold. Box looked to be pretty good as well. I didn't look too closely at that one, but it looks pretty good. That one sold for $154.50. Next up was Chewbacca. This one also was complete with the bandolier, the bowcaster, the instruction sheet, and the box obviously also looked pretty good. You know, it had a pretty major fold on the box, which is pretty common for these 12-inch figures. Hard to find one where that fold has not been creased already. So the window looked to be in decent shape, although it's pulling away maybe at the top there. And it also did have a price sticker of $866. That one sold for $163.08 plus shipping. So pretty good deal on that one. Next up was Darth Vader. He also was complete with his cape and his saber. Looked to be in good shape for the figure. And the box, again, it did have a crease, although it seemed to be in much better shape than any of the others we've looked at. This one's probably about a 75 grade condition. Window was in good shape and also did have a price sticker. $5.95. Somebody got that for $6. What a deal on that. That one sold for $280 plus $11 shipping. Next up was R2-D2, another one that's obviously easy to find complete, just given that it's really just the figure like C-3PO. Although sometimes that white on the body does yellow. This one looks to be in pretty good shape overall. I don't see much yellowing, if any, at all. Maybe just slight yellowing on the left-hand side there, but the dome was in great shape on that one, and the box also was in pretty decent shape, just some minor creases to it. That one sold for $312.99 plus $11.26 shipping. And then he also had Obi-Wan. That figure was actually still sealed in the box, although the box was pretty tatty. It had some pretty major damage to the flap as well as the upper right-hand corner. But still, mint and sealed box, Obi-Wan Kenobi 12-inch. That one sold for $343.88. Pretty good deal for a mint and sealed box 12-inch Obi-Wan. Here was the big one. This one was sold by a different seller. This was LJ's Card Shop. He had the IG-88 12-inch, or really 15-inch because he's so big. That's what she said. This one was complete with all of the bombs. These bombs are very commonly reproduced, so repro bombs out there. You got to be careful. But the seller was very, did nice close-ups to show that these were not repro bombs. So this one is complete with both guns as well as the bandolier and all the bombs. So pretty awesome condition. And, even without the box complete, they usually go for about this price. This one sold for $972 on 30 bits plus $40 shipping. I mean, that might be a little high, but for a loose complete figure without the box, you might see it as low as like $650, $700. Usually, though, it's in the $800 to $900 range, but you probably pay a little bit more, obviously, given that you got the box here. And $972 plus $40 shipping on that one, plus an acrylic case to hold it. So beautiful figure, easily the hardest to find of the 12-inch line, the IG-88. Next up, this is one I had in a Buy It Now alert for my Patreon supporters. As I've talked about, my Patreon supporters, they get Patreon exclusive Buy It Now alerts where I send them an item that gets listed, and I include an eBay affiliate link if they wanted to buy it. And it sold very quickly thereafter. I don't know if one of them bought it or not, but it was a beautiful condition die-cast TIE Fighter, mint on card, clear blister. The blister looked to be in great shape. The stem was in great shape. And this is the harder to find Dutch Clipper version. You can see the Clipper sticker in the lower right-hand corner there. And then here's the back with the multi-language. So very rare item. I don't know how rare it is given the price point, but to me it seems rare. I don't see many Clipper die-cast mint on cards that get listed on eBay. And I thought this price was great. It was listed for 350 pounds, which is $425 US. It sold for 325 pounds. So about, let's call that 375 to 380 US dollars. So that's a pretty good deal, in my opinion, for a beautiful crystal clear blister that looked to be in fantastic condition. diecast clipper, Dutch clipper version of the TIE Fighter. So I hope one of you end up getting that. It did have a little crease there around the hang tab there, but you know, probably in 75 grade condition pretty easily. And I thought it was worth every penny of that final sales price of 325 pounds. Next up, there were the Cloud City playset baggies. So, you know, obviously that Cloud City playset was like a cardboard backdrop, and it included one little white box that had 4 different baggies in it. Well, this was just for the baggies that came inside that white box, which are Han Bespin, the Ugnaught, Dengar for some crazy reason, and then Lobot. So all of these are ESB-D baggies, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but they're heat-sealed baggies, which I think are the ESB-D baggies. And they were all in near mint condition, beautiful condition baggies. And you can pick up all 4 of them for $500 in an auction, 25 bids plus $11 shipping. So you're talking, what, about $125 a piece? That's a good deal. That is a really good deal. I've already got the Lobot, but I don't have the other 3. Would have loved to have had that Dengar baggie. That was a really nice one. But $500 for all 4 of those I thought was a great buy. I would have paid that all day long. Some other baggies that sold here was a Boba Fett baggie. Obviously, there's some pretty heavy discoloration to that baggie. So this probably came out around the Empire Strikes Back line of figures, because it seems like every ESB card bag with a Boba Fett has this same weird discoloration to the plastic. So it's just a certain factory that had that. I don't know which baggie that is, but it's got the big Kenner logo with the Made in Hong Kong perfectly lined up with the box for Kenner. There are some that go outside the box, I believe, some other baggies, but this one was a heat sealed baggie that included kind of a heavily degraded Boba Fett, and that one sold for $351. Good deal on that one, in my opinion. You know, a near mint plus condition like SWD baggie, you could probably double that price, $600 to $700, pretty easily for that early mail away baggie. But this was clearly a later version. I don't know which set it came with, but that Boba Fett did sell for $351. And then finally here was the Greedo. This one is the Sears Cantina mail away with Walrus Man, I believe. I always get them all mixed up. It's Greedo and Walrus Man, I think, came together, and then Hammerhead and Blue Snags. Don't quote me on that. One of you guys can correct me in the comments, but this is the SWC baggie for Greedo. Very common, very easy one to find, but this one was in near mint plus condition. Beautiful condition. Look how clear. I mean, that looks like it's straight out of a box. I mean, that's unbelievable condition for that baggie. That one sold for $230, free shipping. Good deal on that one. Next up, another item I had in my What to Buy video last week. This one was a factory sealed Empire Strikes Back action figure carrying case. This is the one with Yoda in the upper right. There's another one that has the Wampa in the upper right. I feel like the Wampa version is a little harder to find, but I really like this one a lot. This one's got the bounty hunters in the lower left, along with a Cloud City view there, along with the slave one. I mean, they're both great action figure carrying cases. They're the most common ones to find. The Return of the Jedi version is of the carrying case is the hardest one to find, apparently. But to me, the 2 Empire Strikes Back carrying cases, this one with the Yoda and the other one with the Wampa, they are the best in terms of the box art. It's just incredible. And this one was factory sealed, as I mentioned. You can see the factory seal that goes all the way around it. So this one I thought was a great deal. It was listed for $450, and it was also make an offer. I said, hey, make these guys an offer. So I assume one of you guys picked it up, but it did sell for $390. So I thought that was a great deal, given that graded examples can set you back $700 or $800 very easily. So great buy on that one. Next up was an out-of-the-box Wampa. It did include the box, the insert, as well as the catalog. And the Wampa was in pretty good shape. Just some minor yellowing to the head there at the very top, but overall very clean condition. And the box was also in excellent condition. No fold on the flap whatsoever. So very nice example. That one sold for $266.85 plus $13 shipping. Next up, another item in my Buy It Now alert that was immediately picked up by Brian C. So congrats, Brian. This was a near mint AFA ready 1977 date stamp R5D4. And you could argue maybe that the sticker's got some very slight discoloration, but give me a break. This is every bit of an 80 plus, if not an 85. The colors and the paint on the legs, everything were in great shape. And it's the harder to find 1977 Hong Kong. And what that really means is that at the factory, you can interchange the 1978 date stamp, which was meant for the R5, or the 1977 body style body stamp that was used for the R2D2. So some of the factories didn't really care. They just slapped either one of them on the R5D4, and that's the case with both the Hong Kong as well as the no COO. So you can get both the Hong Kong and the no COO with either the 1977 or the more factory correct or, you know, period correct 1978 date stamp. But Brian did pick this one up. Congrats, Brian. He's a Patreon supporter. $59.46 free shipping on that. That would grade all day long at an 80 plus, or probably an 85 would be my guess on that one. Next up was a mint on card Cloud Car Pilot. This was a 48 back, another item I sent out in a buy it now alert. Crystal clear blister, one little ding in the upper left hand corner, some very light edge wear to the card, but it was a deal. I mean, it was listed for $170 and it sold for $160. Best offer accepted. I really think if you straighten this out in a star case, it's got a little wave to it. This would score an 80 all day long. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but it seems like a really good deal to get a clear blister Cloud Car Pilot 48 back for $160 plus $8 shipping. So I assume again that one of my Patreon supporters picked that up. Congrats if you did. And that was a stunner and a very good deal. Next up was the Land Speeder, Collector Series Land Speeder. And Scott H. was hitting people over the head with this. You got to buy it. And so I finally did send this one out as a Patreon buy it now, and it did sell very quickly thereafter. But this was the Collector Series mint and sealed box. I think this would grade an 80 or an 80 plus all day long, as Scott alluded to in the comments on a few videos. Beautiful example. It was listed for $645. The best offer that was accepted was $610. Great buy on that one. AFA 80s or 85s. They sell all day long for $800 to $900 minimum. So I think to get that one for $610 plus $11 shipping, send it off to CAS and get it graded, man. That's a perfect example of something you would want to get graded. Next up was a mint on card 77 back A Princess Leia Organa in her Bush disguise, very heavily yellowed, but the card was in great shape, very flat, with no wear whatsoever. I mean, it's beautiful condition. The blister was also in great condition, just yellowed. You know, it's a heavily yellowed blister. And it's unfortunate that it was so yellowed because, I mean, this is a beautiful example in terms of the card back and the quality of the blister. No cracks in it and no dents. That one sold for $177.50, a steal of a deal. I think if this was a clear blister, $500 to $600 would be my guess in terms of a sales price. So good buy on that one, 77 back A. Here was the one I really wanted, and shout out to Peter. He sent this one to me after I'd already added it to my watch list. And he said, hey, I know you're looking for a clear blister Return of the Jedi R5D4. Well, here you go. And I did already have it on my watch list, and I was hoping that nobody would buy it so I could, you know, get the seller to come down a little bit, because I didn't want to spend $470. And there was like 5 or 6 watchers on it, and it sold the first day it was listed. So it was not meant to be. Somebody decided to pay up for it. I think it would grade an 80, though. It looks to be an 80 quality. It had one little litho kind of issue there in the upper left on the racetrack. Some edge wear to the card. It was a punched example with a big price sticker in an unfortunate placement right on R5D4. Not only the character, but also on the name pill. So it wasn't quite perfect, okay? But given how hard it is to find one of these clear blister, I was very tempted on it. So I didn't pull the trigger, but somebody else did. So congratulations if you happen to pick it up. The card was in pretty good shape, though. I would say it's probably like a 75, 80, 85 condition for an overall 80. So I think it would score an 80, and I hope it does for whoever bought it. So $470 did take it home, but I was hoping that it wouldn't sell and I could get it closer to that $400 number, which was kind of my target. But clearly, I don't know what the market will bear, and there are other R5D4 fans out there. So congrats whoever got it. Next up, another one I sent out in a buy it now alert that sold immediately. So again, I assume it was one that one of y'all bought. But this one was a Palitoy Tri-Logo Han Solo first 12. And it was, the blister was in great shape. Although, as I did allude, I said it's probably yellowed. You can see it's very, very slightly yellowed blister. But the actual blister itself for a Palitoy Tri-Logo etched edge blister, it was pretty immaculate. I mean, this was a good deal. $450 for a Han Solo tri-logo in the condition that it's in. I mean, you know, I would personally live with the yellowing. To me, this was a buy. And I was tempted on it, but I sent it out to my Patreon supporters because they deserve first dibs on stuff, in my opinion, unless I absolutely have to have it. But I do think it's very slightly yellow, but I would have lived with that all day long. That was a gorgeous example for $450 and worth every penny. So congratulations, whoever picked that one up. Anyway, I think that's all I really had that were on my watch list that I wanted to kind of get out of there. I try to do these maybe once a month or so. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.